In this section, we are going to practice for loop, and that is the practice 3. And right now we have 3 different questions, and 3 of them, they are different and different scenarios. So let's see what is the question 1 is all about. So right now it says that we have a list A, and inside the list we have 4 different integers. We have a 2, 5, 1, and 0. And do not forget, in the list we can have integers, and we can have strings, and we can have the floats as well. So right now we have integers only. And using for loop, double check if list A is missing any number from the 1 to 10, and 10 is included. If the number is missing, so we need to complete it. So for example, we have a 2, 5, 1, 0 only. So the 0 is here, the 1 is here, number 2 is here, but 3 is missing. So we need to add the 3. The 4 is missing, so we need to add 4. The 5 is here. The 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, they are missing because it says from the 1 to the 10. We need to double check. We need to match it somehow. If it's missing, we need to add it. If it's already there, so we will just skip it. So let's say we will create our list first. I will say my list is equal to, let me just create it, and I will say, oops, let me just add them. So I have a 2, 5, 1, and 0. And after that, I need to use my for loop. So in the for loops, starting from the 0 all the way to the 10, so each time my variable will be changing. So the first one, the variable is equal to 0. For the second loop, the variable is equal to 1. For the other one, the variable will be 2. So all the way to the 10. And each time before completing the loop, before the variable is going to be changed, I need to double check if that number is already exist in the list. Okay, so I will say for loop. I'm using for loop. Even you see that the syntax is changing. It's the color is different. And let me give the variable b. So that b is going to be changed. You can call it anything you want, x, y, z, or a, b, c. So I just called b in range, and I will say 0 to 10. If I put a 10, 10 will be not included. So I need to put 11. So the 11 includes. So let me just see. Right now I have a loop and I need to compare. So do you remember the first loop? In the first loop, the b is equal to 0. So I need to double check if b not in list A. If that is not in the list, I will say list A. Do you remember from the previous classes we have a list, how to add to the list and how to remove from the list. So since we are working with the list, and I will use the function append, that stands for to add anything to the list. And what I want to add B. So let's analyze what is going on. So it says that, hey, for the loop b, which is in the range 1 to 11, so it will go 11 times, actually 10 times, and each time it will do something for us. And what it is going to do is it will compare first. I will say, hey b, can you look in the list A? If you are not in, I mean, like if b is not in the list A, just add it, okay? And I will say in the very end, I will say print list A, and let me just go ahead and print it. You see, number 2, 5, 1, 0. So 3 was not here, it was added. 4, 6, and so on. So all of them was printed in that way. Okay, so let's see what is number 2 says. So using the for loop, we need to print the following. 2 times 1 is equal to 2. 2 times 2 is equal to 4, and so on, all the way to 2 times 10 is equal to 20. So it looks like these 2 is never changing. You see, the 2, 2, 2 is always the same. Even that symbol, so let's call it x. So in math, it looks like multiplication, but we are looking at a string. So we have an x, we have an x, we have an x, all of them x. The only thing, this number is changing. This number is changing, and the result is being changed as well. So let me grab my pen and let me see how it looks like. So I have a 2 times 1, which is equal to 2. I have a 2 times 2 is equal to 4. You see, I have a 2 times 3, which is equal to 6. So it looks like this part is not changing and this part is not changing. The only thing, we have a variable over here and we have a variable over here. So each time I will be having 10 different loops, and each time it is going to print me equation. So this is the first loop, that is the second loop, that is the next loop, and it will keep going all the way 2 times 10, which is equal to 20. You see, and each time it is going to print these 3 symbols as a default, so I can call them strings. You see, only this number is changing. So let's see how it looks like in the Python. I will say I will be using a for loop, and for this time let me just give it the variable n. Okay, in range from the 1 all the way to the 10, which is included, let me put 11. Because the last one is not included. So that number is included, the last digit is not included. So I will print the following. Do you remember 2 and x, it comes as a default, so it is going to print all the time. So I can call it as a string, so 2x. And after that, the variable itself, you see, so that n is changing. So the n is 1 for the first loop, it's after on the second loop it's a 2, and it's a 3, and it's a 4. So I will say, hey, each time can you print n for me? You see, so 2 times n, and what is the n? N is a variable which is coming of 1 and a 2 and 3 and so on and so on. So let me just print, let's see what is going on. Oh, I have a 2 times 1, I have a 2 times 2, I have a 2 times 3, and all of them works perfectly. So you see, it is printed 2 times n, and n is always changing. And I need to add something else on it. So I will say, which is equal to, and after that I will say 2 times n. So that equation will be printed as a default and for each line, and the result I want to see, hey, 2 times whatever the variable is for that line. So if I print like that one, it is going to print the multiplication for me. So if I want to make some modifications, I will say, let me just close these gaps, and I will say, hey, 2 times 1, or even that. It's, yeah, nice to see. Okay, so the last one, it says that, hey, using the for loop, the range between 1 and 100 included, and it is asking to print the sum of all even numbers. So from the 1 all the way to the 100, which is included, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all the way to the 100. And I need to pick only the even numbers and sum all of them and print it out. Okay, so let me see how it looks like. So before that, I need to make a for loop. Is it right? So let me just make a for loop, and let me call it x this time. So my x is variable. I will say in range between 1 and 101. You see, because right now it says that the 100 included. So in order to get it included, I need to put one more. So I will say if. You see, so right now we have an if statement because we have a lot of numbers between that range, but I need to pick only even numbers. So I'm using the if statement. If that is even, take it to me, I will add them to the sum. If it's not, just take it away. So I will say if x is perfectly divisible by 2 and is equal to 0. Do you remember that statement? By the way, we are going to use that a lot in the future, guys. So yeah, that expression means that it's even number. So if the x is divisible by 2 and there is no any remainder, I will say I need to add it somewhere else. Okay. So in the beginning, I will assign a sum. So for example, I will say the sum is equal to 0. So my result is a 0. Because I will keep adding on it. So for in the range from the 1 to all the way to the 100. So for example, 1 is not even, skip it. Number 2, yes, it's even number, add it to the sum. Number 3, no, it's odd number, just take it away. 4, Yes, that is even number. Let's put on the sum. It looks like you have a basket. Whatever you find, you will put on the basket if you need that. You see, if that case is true, I mean, like, if that is even, I will say sum is equal to sum plus x. Here is something happening, you see. So right now, whatever the sum is, so for the first loop, the sum is equal to 0. If the x is even number, just add them together and reassign my sum. So my sum will be changing, you see. So since that first sum is out of for loop, it will be just affected one times, and that sum will be adding over here. So it will complete all 100 times, and whenever it's complete, I will say print sum for me. If you pay attention over here, guys, you see the print statement is just lined to the left because it is out of the loop. So whenever the all loops are done, it is going to print the sum for me. So let me just run it, and it will say, yes, the all even numbers between 1 and 100 included is equal to 2550.